How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Falcons Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to the movie review, aka for our Soul review video for today. This time for this new episode for the series is going to be my review on the 2023 sci-fi horror film, and that is Infinity Pool. Now, this is written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who you may know him as the son of David Cronenberg, which for that guy, he is well known for making body horror films such as Scanners, Videodrome, and The Fly. And for his son Brandon Cronenberg, he has done horror before with his previous film known as Possessor. So he has now come to make a new horror film, but it's also a sci-fi film as well, which is this film. And so the story of the film is that we follow this couple named James and M. Foster, who are played by Alexander Skarsgård and Cleopatra Coleman, and they are enjoying an exclusive beach vacation on this fictional island known as Latoka. But what ends up happening later on in the movie is that they find themselves in a fatal accident that soon exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic terrorism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. So that's pretty much the story of Infinity Pool. Now, I was really looking forward to this movie, and there was a few reasons why I was looking forward to this movie. One was because of the cast. Like, you've got some really talented people who are in this film, namely Alexander Skarsgård, whom he was in one of my favorite films of last year, known as The Northman, which I thought he was excellent in that movie. So I was really intrigued to see what he was going to do for this new horror film. And another actor who I was familiar with, who was also in this movie, was Mia Goth, which she has definitely become a really great actress in most recent years in terms of her performances, in which she has given really damn good performances in two of my favorite horror films of last year, which were both X and Pro, which I thought she was phenomenal in both of those movies. So I was really excited to see what she was going to do for this new horror film here, and I could definitely say that she has definitely become one of the newest greatest things into the horror genre in most recent years in terms of her performances and stuff like that. And another reason why I was looking forward to this film was because of the director, Brandon Cronenberg, which I was really intrigued to see what he was going to do for this new horror film here. And like I said, he has done horror before, namely Possessor, which that film came out back in 2020. I never saw that film, but I've heard really good things about it. And you also may know him as being the son of one of the most well-known directors of body horror films, which that is, of course, David Cronenberg, in which, like I said, David Cronenberg has made some well-known, iconic body horror films, namely The Fly, Scanners, and Videodrome. So, like I said, I was really intrigued to see what his son, Brandon Cronenberg, was going to do for this new horror film here. And this film came out in the beginning of January of this year in the US, but we didn't get this film until March of this year in the UK. And I didn't see this film on opening day because there wasn't much good showings of this film in my area. But I did watch this just a couple of days after it was released and all that. And after watching this whole movie, oh my god, what can I say? This movie is definitely one of the most bizarre films here that I've seen in most recent years, but this was still a really great wild ride of a movie here, you guys. In terms of performances here in this film, I thought Alexander Skarsgård was great in the film as our lead protagonist, and Cleopatra Coleman, I thought she was also really good in the film as well. But the biggest show stealer of them all when it comes to performances is definitely Mia Goth. She's incredible in the film, and yeah, she steals every single scene that she's in throughout the entire film here for being a really creepy yet seductive woman here, and she really nailed her role as that kind of character here. And everyone else who in this film, I thought they were pretty good as well for the acting talent here as well. And when it comes to the direction by Brandon Cronenberg, it is a very well-made film and all that. Although, like I said, it is pretty disturbing as hell because there's a crazy amount of, like, grotesque stuff in this film, which is really crazy to watch and all that. There's a crazy amount of raunchiness and some other grotesque stuff here and there in this film, which is really bizarre to watch and all that. And there's also a good amount of blood as well and all that, which is pretty well done and all that when it comes to the violent moments in the film and all that. Although there are times where the film almost made me truly disturbed and all that. Like, there was almost a moment where I felt like I was going to vomit while I was watching this film and all that. But I luckily managed to stay strong while I was watching this film and all that. And when it comes to the story for this film, it is pretty crazy, but yeah, it is a really twisted one as well. And I liked how this film manages to blend in some different types of elements from, like, the horror genre into this film. Like, there are times where the film is even like a cult horror film or a body horror film or a slasher horror film, which I thought all those material that was being thrown into this film was blended in really well done here. Although the issue I have with this story is that there are times where the film does get a little bit confusing and all that, and there were times where I was watching this film, I was getting a little bit confused while I was watching this. And it's probably one of those, and it's definitely one of those films that needs that probably needs like multiple rewatches to basically make you fully understand what's going on as you watch this film and all that. And another issue I did have with this film is the first 2 minutes of the film I did feel were pretty weak and all that. Even though it's not a slow burn horror film or anything like that, it's under the 2 hour mark, but this film manages to get straight to the point after the first few minutes and all, after the slow few first minutes in this film and all that. But in the end, guys, Infinity Pool, this film was overall great here, but it's definitely a bizarre, wild ride of a movie here. And there are a few ways I could recommend this film here. If you're a fan of like these kind of horror films or the cast, this is one I would really recommend here. And if you miss a chance to see this in cinemas, it is available to watch at home on demand. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Infinity Pool. I'm going to give Infinity Pool 4 out of 5. Despite being flawed, I still managed to have a really great time with this new horror film here, and I could definitely say it's definitely another one of my favorite horror films this year. And like I said, this is definitely one of the most bizarre films I've seen in most recent years and all of that. So thank you guys so much for watching for my ACAT First Saw review on Infinity Pool. Let me know what you think of this movie if you have seen this already or if you just recently checked out this film. Did you have a really great time with this or was this not really a popcorn treat? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Falcon's Media Corner signing off.